Joey Votto pens an apology letter to Canadian baseball fans as Springer, Kirk, and Vladdy are all shining in spring training. Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley. And Rob, last week we touched on Joey Votto signing a minor league deal with an invite to Jays spring training. And since then, he's been one of the biggest storylines of camp, hitting a home run in his first at-bat of game action on Sunday. And then on Monday, he tweeted out a handwritten apology letter for the comments he made in 2018 disparaging Canadian baseball. Rob, I believe Votto when he says he's sorry for what he said. He already apologized for it previously, but it seems like he's doing everything he can on and off the field right now to put the pressure on the Jays front office to bring him to Tampa Bay on March 28th.
Yeah, there's really a lot going on with Joey Votto, isn't there, Rob? And subsequent to that, there's also a real fascination about him, especially with Canadian baseball fans. And I found it very interesting that he penned that letter and released it when he did yesterday, because he hasn't really had to talk about the whole incident back in 2018 when he bizarrely said that he didn't give a rat's ass about Canadian baseball when he was innocuously asked about James Paxton's no-hitter. It was really a bizarre statement from a guy who really had strong ties to Canadian baseball. And as you mentioned, he subsequently apologized for it twice. He apologized in an interview on Sportsnet with Jamie Campbell, and then he met with Canadian reporters via Zoom and apologized again. So why he felt the need to apologize yet again 4 years later, I think it speaks to your point, Rob, that he really is trying to do everything he can to be a part of this team. He's been quietly going about his business for the most part down in Dunedin. And then all of a sudden, boom, Joey Votto's first game, he hits a home run in the first pitch that he faces, goes to the dugout and hurts himself, rolls his ankle. So it's just a fascinating story. And I think coming timing wise, when it did in the sort of the dog days of spring training, it's really given some life to the storylines down in Dunedin anyway. But now it comes down to baseball. Will he be in that lineup on March 28th, as you asked? He's certainly doing everything that he can to make that happen. And he's also saying all the right things. He's saying that, he understands that the season for him could start with a stint in AAA or down and remaining at the complex and facing live hitters until he's ready to go. He's saying all the right things, understanding that it's a tryout, but you can tell that Joey Votto is very driven to be a part of this Blue Jays team and to continue his career in Toronto. And almost every day we see a different example of why that is the case.
Now, for as good as Joey Votto could be if he does make the Blue Jays out of spring training, there are still some other guys on this team that are going to be the key players if the Blue Jays want to do anything this year and have any sort of success. And there's an old adage in baseball, Rob, that you don't read too much into spring training stats and September stats, but it's hard to ignore what we've seen from three Jays in particular: Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Alejandro Kirk, all putting up impressive spring numbers. When you see what they're doing, how much stock do you put into it, and that it might actually carry over into the regular season?
Yeah, I'll add Bo Bichette to that, although we expect that from Bo Bichette, but he's been hitting like crazy as well. And I'm a big subscriber of you don't read too much into what you see in spring training as well, Rob. But maybe this would be the outlier for that sort of mindset, because the Jays really have to show something different at the plate, as we all know, than what they did through the regular season last year and through the postseason. And you can set the tone a little bit in spring training, I think, especially when you're a veteran guy and you know what it takes to get ready for the season. This team can ill afford to get off to a slow start, especially with those 10 road games and especially with so much to prove after what happened last year, plus the injury situation. So the hitters have to be as good as they possibly can be to start this season, and we're seeing some positive signs of it. I mean, you look at some of the stats, and again, a lot of these runs are accumulated late in games when the starters aren't around. But the Jays had scored 144 runs heading into Tuesday's action, which is the most of any team down in the Grapefruit League. A good sign for sure. Can't read too much into it, but nothing wrong with having a little momentum at the plate when you head into a season where you're really going to have to start scoring some runs again.
Well, hard to believe it, but just 9 days remaining before opening pitch at the Trop between the Blue Jays and the Rays. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For all of Rob's Blue Jays coverage, head over to the Toronto Sun.